what's up, guys? I'm Harvey. I'm here with Josh today. Josh, why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do?
My name is Josh Hively. I'm a real estate investor here in Columbus, Ohio. Right now, mostly focused on distressed single-family houses. And just jumped on here today to talk about one of our recent deals.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a deal that you are currently working on, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what was the deal? Where is it at?
Sure. So the particular property we're talking about today is down in the south of Columbus in Lancaster. It's on Cleveland Avenue. So it's a sort of a small house. I think it's under 1,000 square feet, 2-bed, 1-bath, a couple small outbuildings. I think just under an acre lot.
And where did you find it?
That was the lead, came from direct mail.
So how much did you buy it for? How much did you buy it for? How much did you pay?
Yeah, so the purchase price was $24,500.
And what did you add any value to it? Did you do any work to it at all?
Yeah, so a little bit backstory, I guess, about the situation with the seller. They had some family members living in the house who had passed away. Actually, I believe it was her husband, and then she had moved out of the house, so they were just sort of ready to move on with that particular property. Condition-wise, pretty rough shape, had several years worth of DIY repairs. Probably one of the biggest things with that particular property was just the amount of things that were left behind. It's probably about 100 cubic yards of furniture and debris and things that we removed from the house. They had a 2-car garage that was basically full wall to wall with various things. We did some minor repairs to this particular property. We just got cleaned up and listed on the MLS, but there were some subfloor issues in the bathroom where the toilet had been leaking, so we got that ripped up and got the subfloor sturdied in there. And then again, like I said, pulled out all the trash and debris from the house and got it cleaned out. And then some exterior work, just pulled out some bushes, and there was a lot of trash and things in the yard. So I did some basic landscaping, pressure washing, those sorts of things.
And how did you fund the deal?
Yeah, so that particular deal, we funded that with one of our private money lenders. They lended 100% of the purchase price, and then we self-funded the remainder of that. So I think we had a little under $3,000 in the renovations, so the dumpsters, the labor, and that sort of stuff. So we funded the rehab, and then private money lender funding the purchase of the property.
And this was a new lender that you found, or somebody you've worked with before?
No, yeah, this actually was a new lender to our group. And actually it's kind of a cool deal because the purchase price was so low, and the rehab also being very low on this particular deal. It was somebody I had been talking with for a little while about lending on some projects with us. And this one was kind of cool because it let him lend to us for the first time at a pretty low entry point. A lot of the projects that we normally do are more in the like $100,000 range. So this particular one was sort of a nice segue into a long-term relationship with that particular private money lender. So hopefully if we have a larger deal come down the pipeline in the future, he'll be interested in participating in that.
And did you do the work yourself? Did you hire some contractors?
We ended up finding a local contractor. The scope of work, like I said, the rehab was about $3,000. So scope of work relatively limited and sort of basic in nature. So we found we worked with a real estate agent down there, and she had a referral for a local contractor / handyman.
Nice.
Who basically did the majority of the work by himself. I think he had some paid help for a day or two with the bulk of the trash out, but mostly did the work himself, which was like a little bit of a time delay. So he was on the project for probably about 10 days, as opposed to if we could have hired one of our local trash out companies or even our other main contractor, probably could have been done a few days quicker, but the price was right. So, and again, it's sort of a new relationship with a local contractor there and a handyman there. So I think, and that project went, as far as working with him, went very well. So I think we'll be able to link up with him on future projects for sort of small one-off things.
What challenges did you have during the project, if any?
Yeah, let's see. I had a couple things. I think one problem that you have with on houses like this one, just the amount of stuff and debris that are in the house that the seller leaves behind can make it a little bit hard to really see what you're working with before you get into it. There was a couple things like some drywall work and stuff that we didn't necessarily anticipate. Probably my biggest trash out to date. So I underestimated a little bit on the number of dumpsters. When I got the second dumpster, I probably should have got a full size again, but I tried to step down a little bit, and then we ended up filling that, needing to get another one in there. And I think that ended up being about 100 cubic yards total. Actually, the biggest thing that we messed up on this one, and we're in the process of trying to develop our systems and processes within our company so that when we purchase properties, we make sure that we don't miss anything. On this particular one, we forgot to have a home inspection. That actually did end up burning us a little bit. When the utilities were turned off when we purchased the house, so shortly after closing, when we had the utilities department come out to turn on gas and water, ultimately they wouldn't because there was a blockage in the chimney, and the furnace and hot water tank were actually backdrafting. Instead of venting out through the chimney, they were backdrafting into the house. So that led down a whole road. We tried to get a contractor to come out and put in a chimney liner. Chimney was sort of built a little bit strange, so the contractor and I sort of agreed on what we thought would be an appropriate fix. Turned out utilities department was not thoroughly satisfied with our solution, and ultimately we ended up crediting the end buyer about $1,500 at closing to take on the issue themselves. They were actually already planning on basically a full rehab of the property, so they didn't have an issue taking that on. But we had about about $500 to the contractor for the fix, and then about $1,500 at closing. So I'd call that about a $2,000 mistake there.
What did you learn from it? Any lessons learned from the project?
Yeah, I think, like I said, sort of trying to put a little bit more emphasis on honing in those systems and processes and make sure that things aren't falling through the cracks. You know, a $200 or $300 home inspection could have saved us, $2,000. I think that's probably the big one. The other kind of interesting thing with this one, I think, was I hadn't necessarily thought about it. After we closed on the house, I was thinking about the flood zone. I was talking to somebody about a property nearby, and it actually ended up the property we were discussing was in a flood zone. So I went back and checked the one that we bought, and fortunately it was not in a flood zone. But that's another process thing that we need to make sure we're looking out for in the future.
All right, so you bought it for 25.5-ish, and you put about 3 into it after the concessions to the seller or whatnot. What do you think you're going to make on it?
Net margin is around $10,000,
Okay.
maybe just a little over, like $11,000, with holding costs and utilities, and then closing costs and all of those fees associated. So actually, one other thing that I forgot to mention, we did have a survey issue with this particular property, and that's my first time dealing with that PINS survey. So when this went back through the title company on the sales side, it was red stamped by the auditor, and then so we needed to get a survey done to redo the parcel ID and such. That put us out a few days, but we should be closing. And actually, it's kind of unfortunate too, because we were in contract with a cash buyer who was going to close in 10 days, and then the survey issue. So that's going to bump us out like another 7 to 10 days. So all said and done, we'll have, I think, less than 45 days in this project.
So where can people find more about you, Josh? About the other
Yeah,
stuff?
easiest way to probably connect with me is on Instagram. Instagram name is just Josh Hively. So you can reach out to me there.
Cool. Right on, man. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing that deal, and we'll see you around.
Thanks.